Your team can't push. Error, refusing to update checked out branch. Someone ran Git Init without bear on the server. That's the root cause. Let's break down Git Init. Creating and initializing repositories, how it works, and the exact mistake behind that failure. When you run Git Init, Git creates a Git subdirectory with all the metadata it needs. Think of it as installing a security camera system. Before that, nothing is recorded. The Git directory is the repository. Everything else is just your working tree. Without it, you have no history, no undo, no blame. Navigate to your project and run Git Init. Then list the Git directory to see the skeleton. For a central repository that multiple developers push to, use Git Init bear. This creates a repo with no working tree, so pushes are safe. Running Git Init on an already initialized repo is safe. It just reinitializes the Git directory. But don't run Git Init bear on a non-bear repo with uncommitted changes. Here's a safe reinitialization. Git confirms it reinitialized the existing repository. Templates let you enforce company policies from the start, like a pre-commit hook that checks for ticket numbers. Create a template directory with a pre-commit hook, then use it when initializing a new project. Git Init creates a new repo from scratch. Git clone copies an existing one. Internally, clone is just init plus remote setup and fetch. Here's what Git clone does under the hood. You can do it manually if you need more control. This is the same issue we highlighted at the start. Here's exactly why that happened. Someone initialized the server repo with Git Init instead of Git Init bear. Git refuses to push to a non-bear repo because it would overwrite the working tree. Running Git Init without bear on a server repo causes push rejection because Git refuses to update a checked-out branch. The fix is to use bear for shared repos. The fix was to reinitialize the server repo with Git Init bear. This removed the working tree, so pushes are now accepted. Always use bear for central repositories. Never run Git Init without bear on a server that you intend to push to. You'll get refusing to update checked-out branch errors. Running Git Init bear on a non-bear repo with uncommitted changes will lose those files. Always commit or stash first. Hooks from templates are not pushed to remotes. Each developer needs their own template setup. Since Git 2.28, Git Init uses the configured init default branch, default main, instead of master. If your team expects master, set git config global init default branch master or use git init initial branch equals master Git 2.28+. This avoids confusion when pushing to remotes that still use master. The article warns against Git Init bear on a non-bear repo. The safe conversion is Git clone bear. This creates a bear copy without losing the original working tree. When multiple users push to a bear repo on a server, ensure the repo directory and its contents have proper group ownership and permissions, e.g., chmod rg plus ws and git init bear shared equals group. Without shared, Git sets restrictive permissions that can cause push failures for collaborators. When things go wrong, start by checking if Git exists. For push errors, SSH into the server and verify the repo is bear. Convert safely with Git clone bear. Let's run through some common interview questions. What happens when you run Git Init on an existing repo? It's a no-op, safe to run multiple times. Why does Git refuse to push to a non-bear repo? Because it would update the working tree, potentially overwriting changes. How would you set up a Git server from scratch? Create a directory and run Git Init bear. And a few frequently asked questions. What does Git Init do? Creates a Git subdirectory with metadata for tracking changes. What's the difference between Git Init and Git Init bear? Bear creates a repo without a working tree for servers. Can I undo Git Init? Yes, delete the Git directory with rm-rf git. To recap, Git Init is the first step to version control. Use bear for servers and templates for consistency. Avoid the footguns we covered, and you'll be shipping code without fighting your tools. Ready to go deeper? Up next, git add, commit and status, then git revert. Safe undo for pushed commits, then interactive rebase. Squash, reword, edit, and reorder commits. Find them all at thecodeforge.io. Thanks for watching. The full article and code examples are covered in detail at thecodeforge.io.